Hey everyone, welcome to Area 616. Well, it's only about 2 days until Doctor Strange is officially out in America, and I am pumped. I'll release a video reviewing it as soon as I see it, but with the release so soon I figured it was worth learning a little bit more about Doctor Strange in the comics, so that going in, you know him better. So without further ado, let's get into it. So Strange first appeared in Strange Tales issue 110 in 1963. However, he wasn't the main focus of the comic. He was only in the last few pages, as Marvel was nervous about experimenting with black magic. He was created by the legendary Steve Ditko, who also drew Spider-Man in his earliest days. After this comic was released, the numbers came in, and Doctor Strange was a hit. So Marvel expanded him and gave him an origin story. His origin story is as follows. Brilliant but egotistical neurosurgeon Dr. Stephen Vincent Strange gets into a terrible car accident. He survives, but it damages the nerves in his hand beyond repair, so that they are always shaking. Because of this, he of course cannot perform surgeries and is without a job. Desperately seeking a cure, Strange uses the money he has left to travel around the world, going to both the top doctors and pretty shady people in the alleyways, desperate to find a cure, until he eventually finds the Ancient One, who takes him in and teaches him the mystical arts. Now, one of the Ancient One's other students, Carl Mordo, has been meeting with the dread Dormammu, the ruler of the Dark Dimension, and even sacrificed his mother and grandfather to him. The Ancient One knew he needed to train a sorcerer to stand against Mordo, but he didn't know who. A couple of decades later, Stephen Strange showed up looking for help. Mordo automatically hates Strange, and after Strange accidentally walks in on Mordo's plot to launch a secret mystical attack on the Ancient One, Mordo magically restrains Strange from being able to tell the Ancient One. Strange becomes the Ancient One's disciple, and Mordo eventually leaves. However, Mordo keeps training and once tries to kill the Ancient One, but Strange senses his master is in danger and fights Mordo, eventually defeating him. Since then, they have become mortal enemies. But after years of training, Strange masters the arts and becomes the Sorcerer Supreme and the wielder of the Eye of Agamotto, an extremely powerful mystical artifact which he used to battle Dormammu. Now, how much of this will carry over is unknown. There's certainly a lot of changes the movie has made. For instance, based on what we've seen, Mordo is in it, but does not seem to despise Strange. Of course, that can definitely change, and he could be faking it, but we don't know for sure right now. There's also a couple of other changes to Strange's supporting cast. For instance, the Ancient One is an old Asian man in the comics, but is very controversially played by Tilda Swinton in Doctor Strange, who is the opposite of an old Asian man. However, according to early reviews, she does a pretty great job, so we'll see. Also, Wong's role has been changed significantly. In the comics, Wong is Strange's butler, while he lives in the Sanctum Sanctorum. But there is controversy over Wong basically being Strange's manservant, so the movie has changed Wong from a butler to essentially a drill sergeant, and he actually helps to train Strange, which in my opinion sounds like a much more interesting role for Wong. Additionally, it doesn't seem like Strange will be training for years in the movies, but just months at the most, based on him turning down a 45-year-old Air Force veteran who broke his spine in an experimental suit right before his life-altering crash, which is clearly a reference to Rhodey falling out of the sky in Captain America Civil War, which takes place in 2016. Now, back to comic Strange, his role continued to rise over the years. Being the Sorcerer Supreme is a pretty big deal, as his job is to protect not just Earth, but the fabric of reality itself. Because of this, he isn't typically seen on a bunch of superhero teams or anything like that. He has been on a few, most notably the Avengers for a while, but that really isn't where he needs to be, as he has a very important job to do elsewhere. However, a lot of the time his job will involve superheroes, and he's teamed up with a bunch of them, most recently Iron Man and Invincible Iron Man issue 5. But he's also teamed up with Iron Fist, Spider-Man, Scarlet Witch, Wolverine, Deadpool, The Punisher, and many more. He's also pretty famous for being a part of the Illuminati, a team of Marvel characters who have tasked themselves with protecting the Infinity Stones, so that they don't end up in the wrong hands. The roster has changed a bit over the years, but the team typically consists of leaders and some of the most important and smartest people in the Marvel Universe, such as Strange, Iron Man, Black Panther, Mr. Fantastic, Black Bolt, Namor, the Beast, and the Hulk. However, the formation of this team has never really ended well, which is why they have disbanded. So what is Strange up to now in the comics? Well, in 2015, he got his own solo series, written by Jason Aaron and drawn by Chris Bacalo. It's a pretty great series in my opinion. A status quo shattering storyline, The Last Days of Magic, just wrapped up, in which a race of scientifically advanced aliens called the Empiricool come to Earth 616 seeking to wipe out all traces of magic, as they have done in multiple other realities. Now I'm going to spoil it a bit here, but usually with this kind of story, you'd expect Strange to win and magic to be totally fine. And he does win, of course, but the Empiricool actually did a pretty great job destroying magic. They destroyed the Cloak of Levitation, ransacked the Sanctum Sanctorum, and basically Strange now can't really do much of anything as far as magic goes, and is left struggling to fight with the few magical artifacts left on Earth. As I write this, the follow-up storyline, Blood in the Ether, is happening, where all of Doctor Strange's enemies have come together to try and take down Strange while he's weakened. This includes Mordo, Dormammu, Nightmare, Satana, Shuma Gorath, Master Pandemonium, and the newest addition to Strange's rogues gallery, Mr. Misery, a magical being created by Strange to store all of his pain and suffering that comes with being a sorcerer. He had Misery locked up in a cellar in the Sanctum Sanctorum, but he was let out during the last days of magic. Strange also recently met with Clea again. Clea is a sorceress who Strange married a while ago, but married with magic, meaning they had a mystical bond that could never be broken unless they chose to break it themselves. The story saw Clea trying to get Strange to agree to break it, but he said no. Also introduced in Strange's current series was Zelma Stanton, who now serves as Strange's librarian in his large magical library. All of his books were burned during the last days of magic, so apparently Zelma is going to help him recreate them. But that's pretty much all of the major stuff you need to know. Now, going into the movie, you'll know a bit more about him, and maybe you'll recognize some things you wouldn't have otherwise. But anyways, thanks for watching. Are you planning to see Doctor Strange? Leave a comment below and let me know. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.